Hey guys, it's my endeavor to bring you really, really interesting stories. Stories which impact us as a society. Found this very, very interesting duo, Vinay and Richa. They are predominantly what you, on the face of it, would look like an agri-tech company, but there's a lot more to what they're doing with their app and what they're doing on the ground. First and foremost, welcome Vinay Nair and Dr. Richa from Arya Life, and it'll be a pleasure talking to you over the course of the next half an hour about your Kheti Buddy.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Rishi.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Rishi.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start right at the top. How did the genesis of Kheti Buddy happen? I believe even before you got any sort of technology on it, even though you work in the sphere of technology, it was you, Richa, and your wonderful initiatives with the farmers. So let's start with that, and maybe then Vinay can chip in.
Yeah, that's how we started off. Basically, we started off with agriculture. We are into agricultural input, so that's how our foray into agriculture started. But as we were into agriculture, and we also thought that something for the urban population. We used to get queries from the urban people as well. So we thought, why not something for them as well? So that's where Vinay chipped in, and I'd like him to
Yeah.
just.
So
So
basically,
I'm going to chip in here. I
yeah,
believe you started off as a glorified chauffeur, a driver, before anything happened.
that's
On a
true.
lighter note.
Absolutely. So basically, I was going about with my technology business, and Richa was actually, over the weekend, like any other good husband, I was driving her to farms. And as she was going about her job of explaining this to farmers, and that's when this entire thing actually came up in the sense that very simple question: where does the food you eat come from? Right? The mic which you are speaking, the shirt you're wearing, you have a problem, you can go back. But simple thing, what breakfast you had today, if there is a problem, there is no way to trace. That is where the genesis of Kheti Buddy came in, and we said that okay, technology can play a role. And the moment technology came in, I think first we were trying to solve this with the farmers, which is a larger problem. Tracing food from the farm, and what goes into the farm is actually a larger problem. And that is when we thought that what can you and me do, right? So till the time we actually fix up the larger problem, which is in terms of tracing the food from the farm and what goes into the farm, maybe you and me can actually grow food at home. And that is where we thought that, and then we realized that more than 50 to 60% of what you consume today can be grown at home. And we started bouncing up this idea, and one of the there were two stats, right? One was that 50 to 60% can be grown at home. Second was that an average urban today spends 3.5 to 4 hours of his time on mobile screen, right? So if I can actually bring something on the mobile screen, which can also help in growing food, that's when the entire genesis came in. And that's when we said that, okay, it's not just for farmers, even urban people can actually pitch in. And we will do whatever we can through technology for them to actually grow food at home. And that is what this mobile app does. It's Kheti Buddy Home, what it is called. If you want to grow food at home, just download the app, click on start gardening, and then just go, it'll step by step tell you what to do. Yeah.
So it's Khetibuddy. All of you who are listening or watching, it's available both on the Play Store as well as the iOS App Store. Now, I understand that, because we're an urban metropolis medium platform, whether people watching this video or listening to the audio bit of it. But I can't help but ask one very logical question. I mean, I heard two people from Sweden asking Vinay this question, but it's equally true in the minds of every Indian. Richa, I'd like you to take this. How easy was it to farmers across Maharashtra and maybe even Gujarat to adopt to this technology? I mean, one is internet connectivity, the other is to be able to use an app and feed in data or at least soak in some data from the app. So how easy is farmer adaptability or not? How not easy is it?
Yeah, so Rishi, if you would have asked me this question, maybe 3 to 4 years back, it would have been, I would be like clueless as to, we don't know how people are going to adapt, or especially a section like a farmer is going to, adapt to technology. But this is what we found, that when we were going around all these farms and meeting all these farmers, let me tell you that there are two things here. One is technology has definitely penetrated in rural India as well. Technology in the form of at least mobile phones, like there are mobile phones and there are smartphones across rural India, that people do have them. And good part is the farmer today also needs is in a lookout for knowledge. Okay, farming knowledge, especially because we live in a country where farming is a culture.
Yeah.
Okay, it is not taken as, like it is not like an architect who studies architecture and then builds buildings or designs buildings, like a doctor who is like who studies and comes and then practices. For farmer, mostly the knowledge has been passed on from his ancestors, and that's how it comes to him. So he is looking out for something new, and technology is a very valuable aid, which he himself also today realizes that through technology I can gain more knowledge, and they are looking out for better options and better ways of farming, how to improve them. So that is something that has helped us. So I think the response that we have got so far is pretty much encouraging as
So you're saying that this is in their local vernacular.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
It's available in whatever language that you can make it available
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
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 and
yeah.
just to add to what Richa said, Rishi, you would be surprised that the internet speed in a village is faster than what you and me would be actually browsing. So there is a myth that rural India does not have internet. In fact, the amount of I'm talking to a lot of digital marketing agencies in terms of how to promote this app, and the amount of digital content which rural India today consumes is far more than even urban India. In terms of they are actually on the phone. Each and every guy has a smartphone. So our job was very clear. We should actually present the app in the language they understand. So right now it's available in Marathi. Gujarati should be there in the next few months, and that is where our focus is. In terms of doing it, which is there. So I would say that yes, maybe like Richa said, 4 years back it would be a difficult proposition, but internet in rural India has penetrated so deep. I mean, Facebook investment in
That's
geo
right.
bitumen of that. Yeah.
Now let's come to the urban milieu. I like it, Vinay and Richa, that you don't call it a glorified term called urban farming. You're just saying simply that if you have, what is it, 10 by 10 or is it 7 by 7? 10 by 10, you can just grow. So can anybody grow is the logical question, and what really is needed to grow these vegetables, Richa?
Yeah, so yes, I would like to just tweak. I think there was a movie which Prabhudeva made some time back, which was like, ABCD, where he said anybody can dance. So I'll just like to tweak it a little bit and say ABCG. I mean, anybody can grow for sure, like, provided there is no copyright infringement out here. But yeah, seriously speaking, yes, anybody can grow. See, if you look at India, if you look at any household, most of them, we do have a small pot somewhere, perched in one of the corners of the house, where you have probably a money plant growing or a tulsi plant growing. So if you can grow a tulsi plant, why not a methi plant, or why not palak? So yes, we do feel that if you have space, a little bit of space, a little bit of sunlight and water, and probably the passion to look after a plant, definitely any one of you can go in and take this up. What you need, as for your second question, what you need is, yes, you do need some space. Sunlight is something for a few hours at least. If you have some corner of your place where you can have sunlight, so I think that's more than enough to start off with. You can definitely have one small green patch in one corner of your place for sure.
Yeah, and what I found interesting, because as a precursor to this chat, I was chatting with Vinay on the phone, and Vinay said, and I said, isn't it all about getting the seeds and this and that? And you said to me, Vinay, saying that it need not necessarily be about the seed, because we teach you to really self-sustain. Use existing stuff in your fridge or vegetables to grow. So explain that, please.
Yeah, I think Richa would actually answer that. Basically, we can you can reproduce what you have at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just extension to what he said, grow food from food is what we would like to say here. Say it is like, the seed comes from the fruit, and the fruit comes from your vegetable, and the vegetable is already there in your house. So it is as simple as, so simply if you have a tomato, like, everybody of us has a tomato in our house. So if you just slice it up, and you put it in your plant, after a few days you keep watering it, and after a few days you find these small plantlets coming out, because every slice of tomato has these seeds. Seed is something which not necessarily is something that you need to go out and buy, but yes, if we decide that yes, we want to be self-sustained, and we would want to do things from whatever that we have at home, definitely possible. There are so many other vegetables that also can be grown, for example karela, or if you say even for a plant like for a vegetable like potato, so if you keep it there, and if you let it just be for some time, it starts budding. And if that budded potato, if you put it into your soil, cut it into half and put it into your soil, after some time you see a very lush green plant growing out of it. So a plant doesn't need something that you have to buy and get it and then start off. So there are these small things which you can do and start off from home itself.
Which actually is very, very important during lockdown. I mean,
Yes.
these are
Yes.
extraordinary circumstances, Vinay. So you're basically saying that even if you cannot go out of your house, there is a way to self-sustain.
Yes, absolutely. Both self-sustained, like Richa said, and also actually give fertilizer, which is there. Your kitchen waste, which is the compost, which I can actually act as a compost to the plant. So one is actually providing the seed from the from the vegetables which you
Kitchen.
have, and a lot of your kitchen waste can actually go as compost, as natural fertilizer, into the plant. And at the end of the day, what do we need, right? We need clean, residue-free food. And if you eat that food from, if you pluck the lettuce and actually make your salad, which is there for the day, I think there are two kinds of joy. One, obviously, that's something which you have grown. Secondly, you definitely know where it comes from.
Now, this is a question both of you can take. Maybe Richa can start because of her background in biochemistry. Um, Organic vegetables is such an overused terminology. I mean, and the big question is what really is organic? Some people say pesticide free, some people say residue free, some people say both. Um, uh, we want to go organic, so we've been trying to source at home organic farms that deliver as close to us as possible in Mumbai during the lockdown, but we're not really sure. Lead us through that discussion. What really is organic, and can we really grow organic at home?
Oh, yeah. So what is organic? So, when we talk of organic food, so government has laid down certain norms, as to how you're supposed to grow organic. Only then can we call, that food organic. So there are certain certifications that whoever wants to grow organic has to take down those certification and follow those norms, where the government has ensured that nothing which is hazardous, nothing chemical goes into it, and they have a way of they tell you how to grow and even process it further, and if you follow it, only then can you name it as organic food. So that is something which is as per the rule as such. So every country has their own rules, like European Union will have their own norms, the USA will have their own, and India has its own as well. Okay, that's pretty much in place. But when as laymen, when we are talking of organic food, we are like something that is naturally grown from nature, whatever inputs that you're using from from your own house, or something that is not chemical in nature or chemically synthesized in nature, basically, is what we would want to call organic. And it is pretty much possible at home, because as Vinay just pointed out, if you can take the seeds right from your house, and if you can do some composting at your place with your kitchen compost, that pretty much becomes residue free food, or you can have like no chemical food, basically. So when another term that you just used was residue free, basically. So I'll just talk a little bit on residue free. Residue free is a term which is also being circulated pretty much these days. Residue, when we talk of residue, is when we are talking of these pesticides, or the chemical that we spray normally to keep your plant healthy or disease free, to keep those pests out, and those do have certain substances which may leave a residue in the plant, and if ingested, it can enter the human chain, and that gets dangerous. Okay, so yes, so there are certain ways of farming where some people are farming where they are using chemical nutrients but not chemical pesticides, or there are other norms also, like you cannot use the chemical pesticides while harvesting, so that they ensure that any residue is not left in the food produce. So that is what they term as residue free as such. So
So now let's come to the app itself, Kheti Buddy. For those of you who logged into this conversation a little late, it's an app that's available on both Android as well as iOS. It helps you grow vegetables, grow food at home, and also and from a wider perspective, helps farmers go about their processes and considering the monsoon, the onset of the monsoon, the crop growing season is here. So, Vinay, I understand that the app has three aspects to it. Describe all the aspects. What does it do? How can we use the app to the best of our ability?
Yeah. So basically, we actually, as I said, that we have three variants of the product which we have launched in AgTech: Kheti Buddy Home, Kheti Buddy Farm, and Kheti Buddy Enterprise. Kheti Buddy Home is what the primary topic on which our discussion is right now, which is for home growers like you and me. So what you need to do is just download the app, and there is actually a button which says start gardening, and then you can actually choose the plants which you grow. We have more than 20 to 25 plants which are already there, categorized based on medicinal, based on fruits, vegetables. You select that, how much do you want to grow. So if you are, based on that, it will tell you how much seeds you need. So if you say that I need 2 kg of methi or 2 kg of brinjal, it will actually automatically compute. The algorithm will tell you. And once you actually configure that and you give it a space also, how much space you have, it will tell you how to grow, what to do, how to do, and when to do. So every day it will give you a notification. So every day morning it will say water your plant. It will say, put in a particular pesticide or anything which you need. And in case you get stuck somewhere, you have an option where you can actually video call us. So we have a team of organic agronomists which is there. So you just say ask us and show your plant and garden to us live on video, and we would actually support you. In certain cities, we are also providing gardening services, but because of the lockdown, people are a little skeptical in terms of getting a gardener at home. So that's why we started this new feature of video call. So we can see the video, and people who have been seeing plants, like Richa and her team, in terms of seeing the plants, by looking at the plant, like when you look at the patient, you know what the problem is. There is a way to actually look at it. And then we are obviously, there is actually a plan of ancillary services. Once you are growing, the next step is that what can you cook from what you grow, right? So that's actually going to be the phase 2, where, if you are growing lettuce, what are the types of salads available? We're talking to a lot of chefs who can actually contribute to the platform which is there. What is the nutrition which goes in, right? When you are actually having a salad, what is the exact nutrition which is going in for all the health enthusiasts, right? They want to know that how much kilocalorie they are consuming. All of that can actually happen. But I think the basic objective is that just aid technology to help you grow. If you do that, I think the first, I would say that, what, like we say in Hindi, the pehla padav is actually done. And then, the rest all is actually, secondary to that.
So you're saying that eventually, if we wish it for it to happen, you will actually tie up with nurseries, and that's already happening in certain cities,
Yes.
and those nurseries will even supply basic ingredients.
Yes, absolutely. And we have vetted those nurseries. So, there are certain cities, certain places in Pune and Bombay that's actually already available. We vet those nurseries. We decide whether they are actually doing residue free and organic. We have certain norms in terms of we vetting those nurseries, and then we put them onto our platform as these are our vetted nurseries. And based on your location, it will show you your nearest nursery where you can actually go and buy. And it's what we call it. I will call it a plant shop, not just a nursery, because there is many other things which you can actually.
Sure. And eventually you're even looking to chefs to come onto the platform and kind of do these cooking videos from stuff that you've grown at home.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the plan. In terms of doing it. So we have already in discussion with a couple of them, in terms of giving them the list of items which we grow, and said that just come up with recipes, which can be done. So it sort of actually completes the cycle.
Richa, what really is the easiest to grow at home? I mean, you briefly touched upon potato or tomato, but what really is the easiest?
if you want to start off with, I would say leafy veggies. Okay, because leafy veggies is like, stage one of the plant. So you don't need to you don't need to tend to the plant till it flowers and then fruiting, because, these are step two and step three. So some simple veggies like, palak, methi, these are, the easiest ones that you can start off with.
Palak and methi, leafy vegetables. That's wonderful. Also, the big question that everybody will ask you is, what is your revenue model? I mean, I understand now that the idea is to just grow the family. I mean, get more individual subscribers on, families on, farmers on. But eventually, all of this has to translate into revenue. And what have you thought on that front, Vinay?
Yeah, so for the home growers, right now, since we have just launched, we are actually sort of keeping a 90-day trial, and then there will be a nominal fees in terms of subscription for home growers. Obviously the gardening services, if you subscribe to, there is a subscription, and we actually have annual subscriptions for gardeners to come regularly and actually look after your plants. Then all these, the chefs and the nutritionists who actually come in, they can actually also advise you, by your request, which is there. So if you are actually looking at somebody, so all of these ancillary services. So I think very similar to not charge the consumer, but anybody who is serving the consumer and who wants to come onto the platform actually, comes onto the platform with a fee which is there. So we want to keep hassle-free entry for a consumer, not charge the consumer more, which is basically the farmer and the home grower. But everybody who wants to serve the consumer is something which we are actually that's where the revenue will actually come from. The second thing also is important in today's era to actually say is that we do not actually capture, we have kept it completely optional to capture anybody's personal data, right? So, for example, a lot of urban people are quite skeptical that,
Sure.
if I register, these guys are actually going to come after us in terms of selling more stuff, which is there. We are only looking at trends. How much is Borivali growing? How much is Kandivali growing? Which is what goes into our AI engine, which is there, and that will actually help us serve. And people who really want to get served, they obviously, want something to be delivered at their house. That's something which we can do. So that's primarily the revenue model in which how we are planning.
And in terms of the data or the trends that you're picking up, how many farmers do you have right now on the platform?
Close to 10,000.
Wow, and that's only bound to grow. All the data that you're mining, picking up, which is non-personal data, these trends and this and that in itself can again transform itself to some kind of revenue, because that's what enterprises look at, isn't it? People who are into the food input business.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So if you actually look at if you look at any company which is actually either serving the farmer or the home grower, what they're looking at is actually trends. An agri input company wants to know that, can you tell me a region where sugarcane is grown most? What are the common pests which are actually occurring there? What are the problems the farmer is facing? Similarly, in terms of home growers, can you tell me that which area in Mumbai, for example, is actually growing exotic vegetables? So, for example, lettuce and your herbs and stuff like that. So then we know that, okay, that part is actually looking at exotic, and maybe the suburban part is actually growing the brinjals and the tomatoes and the potatoes which are there. So that trend and that data, once it is picked up, these companies who are actually providing ancillary services, get really good data insights to actually go and serve them.
Wonderful. So thank you very, very much. This was really an eye-opener. I hope everybody who's watched this or has heard this will actually start growing at home, most importantly, and adopt the Kheti Buddy app. Any famous last words, Richa, Vinay, before we say bye?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I would just say that, like I had actually written in my launch blog also, the Kheti Buddy ho sang, to Kheti Badi ho jaye aasan, So Kheti Badi will be actually easy, what we say, that whether it is you're a home grower or actually a farmer, if you're using Kheti Buddy, it is your buddy which is there to help you at every stage which is there, and technology should help you grow. Even if we actually influence 100 families who were not actually thinking of growing food at home, actually because of the platform and because it's available on our app starts growing, I think we are on the right track.
Richa.
Yeah, as I said, like, anybody can grow. So it is like ABCG. So, just get on the wagon and let's start the green journey with Kheti Buddy.
Yeah, another thing which we perhaps didn't cover is the fact that you give these very important notifications. I've noticed on the app, if you say, for example, you want to grow sugarcane, or from a urban grower's perspective or a farmer's perspective, they get these regular notifications, isn't it?
Absolutely. So notifications on a daily basis on what to do, and if you don't do it, what's going to be the harm as well. So that's very important. See, I think we very well focus on the process. See, the point is that everybody talks about the end result, right? But if you do 1% things right every day, the effect compounding is actually quite large. So basically what we are saying is that this is what you need to do, not more than 15 minutes daily. If you do that well, everything else actually falls in place. So in terms of notifications, and also then we get the trend. So if there is actually a new scheme for, let's say, Worli area, where
Yeah.
we know that this is what is actually coming up, nursery news or plant news or what others are actually doing, all those actually also comes in as a notification to you.
Well, wonderful. We spend a substantial amount of time in physical fitness and mental fitness. We
Yeah.
can add to that with some growing fitness.
Good.
Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
speak soon. Bye bye. See you.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Bye
Rishi.
bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Rishi.
Bye.